What's up?
Dust in the water, dirt in the air. I'm looking for a reason to cut my hair. Now let me tell you something, I'm on the scene. I'm running out of patience for everything. Minutes feel like hours, melt into days. Looking for a reason to walk away. Water turns a while like dust to dawn. I'm on the leaving side of being gone. Give me that good stuff. Give me that good stuff. Give me that good stuff. I ain't got no time for no soul. I ain't got no time for no soul.
What?
Isn't that cool? Look at that thing.
Looks like a lunchbox.
It's nice. It's like got to handle everything. It's like portable.
Wait, this is the unit?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. All the
Whoa.
dryers. All the dryers are in here.
Oh, that's sweet. That's cool.
$10 later.
Yeah, seriously.
So a couple of you already spotted it in previous vlogs, but we have a new editor coming in on Monday. The content game is very, very strong here at Scaling Creative, and I'm very, very excited about it. And I actually kind of want to just talk about it for a second. So I know I've talked about it before, but this morning's conversation with a potential new client of ours just got me so excited about content. And I know I talk about it all the time because it's something that I do, it's what I do for a living, but oh my gosh. I think content is so much more important than people realize, and it really doesn't matter what industry you're in. Sharing your story with people is important because you could have the best product, you could have the best solution for people, service, whatever it may be, but if people don't know about it, then what's the point? People need to know what you do, people need to know what you're passionate about, and I think content is the best way to share that with the world. Also, we got these new stickers here. Can you see that? Branding. We got them here too. Isn't that sweet? All right, anyway. Michaela's working. Okay, so when it comes to content, I know your thought process, if you're like a business owner or even if for a personal brand standpoint, if you don't own a camera, if you don't do video, if like you don't do photography, if you don't know how to capture your story, then you're probably like, well, Pablo, you know, I don't have the money, I don't have the resources, I don't know anybody. There's this thing between you and being able to capture the content so that you can tell your story. I get it, even though I don't get it actually, because people have cell phones and there's easy ways to do it. But I'm gonna just understand you for a second that there's money involved usually, especially if you're a business. So most people's excuse is that there's this barrier. See, there's this barrier of money between like a business creating content or a personal brand or a person alone creating content. So I understand that there's this barrier if you don't own a camera, if you don't own photography, if you don't own photography, own a camera, own a camera. There can be financial barriers if you don't own a camera, if you don't know how to capture the content, capture your story. So I understand, my whole point is that if you do what I do for a living, which is, well, I create content for a living, but if you are a filmmaker, a photographer, or someone that captures other people's quote unquote content, you should be also doing it for yourself. Because I understand if you're a business or if you're a business owner, like if you own a pizza shop, like you're not gonna understand like what capturing content even looks like. But if you do it yourself for somebody else, the whole point is that you can remove this barrier and you can create your own content for yourself. That's an arrow. You can do that for yourself on your own personal time outside of creating content for other people if you were to. Does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So like I said, this morning's meeting got me very excited because Jared, the owner of the company that we met with, who possibly could become a client of ours, said that he follows both Scott and myself on YouTube and he's been watching what we've been doing. And when we brought the idea of producing content for his company, it was difficult for him to argue the fact that it works because that's how he found us. That's the whole point, is that there's so much power in creating content for yourself. And if you are a business owner and you are saying like, listen, I don't have the money or whatever, personally, I don't think those excuses weigh enough for you to not do it. What I'm even trying to say more so is that if you own a camera like I do, or if you do any type of photo, video, anything like that, or even if you own a cell phone, you should be creating some sort of content and telling your story in some sort of way. And it cracks me up because people all the time ask me, they're like, Pablo, do you make money on YouTube? Do you make money carrying your camera around all the time?
The common question I get all the time, and we vlog, so like people, will see the camera on me all the time, and the common question always is, do you make money on YouTube? Mm-hmm. Do you really? Like how do you, everyone's interested. And I'm always like, you know what? Like, it's not about necessarily, I mean, don't get me wrong. Can you make money on YouTube? Yes. Do people make a ton of money on YouTube? Yes. And can you? Of course. But it's not even about that. Literally, there's legitimate customers that Scott and I have gotten for our legitimate company that pay us legitimate money. Yeah. And there's legitimate food on my table because of it. Like it comes from the attention.
Exactly. And here's the thing. I recently made a piece of content for Scaling Creative because obviously me and Scott are very busy creating our own personal content for us. For, literally Scott has his own channel, I have this channel, and then we have the Scaling Creative side of things. So sometimes it's difficult to keep all of those plates up and spinning and all that. But I've been recently helping create content for Scaling Creative, and this piece of content that I was able to take a piece of the podcast that we I think our first ever podcast, and create content from that so that people can see what that looks like for our business, so that we can also do that for others as well. So this piece of content, I think honestly is kind of what I think it's the overall theme of today's episode. Check this out.
Yeah, and when you're talking about capturing content, it's just capturing what you do.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
yes,
your content is what you do. Mm-hmm. People overthink, like, what would it be about? Well, what do you do? That's what content is.
Yeah.
It's video. Content is not just video. That's what I always want people to understand. Like, content, obviously videos are primary, but it's not just video content. If you're not good on video, it should be written word. If you're not good in written word, it should be a podcast. If you're not good, there's a medium for what you do.
Right.
But if your company can have a bunch of different people that do a bunch of different things, then it should be everything.
Content is everything. And if you're not creating it, we should talk.